Hello and good morning. Once again, we are doing live through Zoom, and I'm not even certain if you can see me. I always get a little bit weirded out by there's this slight delay between Zoom and doing a Facebook Live on live, but this would let me share my screen if that was something I wanted to do. I'm just going to pull my screen down a little bit. Listen, today I had the privilege of speaking at a Women in Business Summit. And we were talking about things that help us to take our business to the next level. And that's over on my personal page. If we're not friends already, absolutely, please do friend me so that you can have access to all of the content that I produce, because I try not to duplicate it between the group and my personal page. So I can offer you support in, well, multiple ways, I guess. There you go. So today in the group, I had the opportunity to speak about burnout. And I thought, that's actually, I've not actually come on and spoken about burnout here in the group. And for those of you who may never have seen me do a live before, hello, my name is Danielle Wilson. I'm your host here in our group, Anxious Female Overachievers Avoid Burnout and Find Balance. And the reason for that is because I do help those female overachievers who have anxiety, are on the road to burnout, and are needing to create some balance in their life. And the ways that we do that are by creating systems and processes that will help you to improve efficiencies in your life, in your career, in your job, all of those kinds of things, as well as creating boundaries. And, we don't often become an overachiever without having experienced some kind of, I'm going to use the word trauma, even though I know that's kind of a touchy word. Trauma is not always about having been abused in childhood, although in my case, it certainly was. I was abused in childhood. I was the child of a narcissistic mother who just could not, there was just nothing, I couldn't do anything right. She was in constant criticism of every single thing I did, constantly moving the goalposts for what it meant to do it right. And so if I came home with a 98% on a test or anything like that, she would ask me where the 2% was, and she didn't mean it as a joke. So much so, in fact, that my dad, who's actually he is my stepdad, but he was my dad, come on. He used to actually make the jokes later. He actually, as I got older, turned that into a bit of a joke to try, I think, to pull me out of the obvious pain that those kinds of criticisms would put me into. But these are the kinds of things that turn us into overachievers. Bullying can do that to us in the school environment. Bullying with just friends that you hung out with on the street, bullying from parents, bullying from a spouse, bullying from people who are supposedly your friends. All of these kinds of things that really help to, well, I shouldn't say help, but it's because, help is typically a positive word. It's a help word rather than a negative word. But what they do is they really kind of force you down a path of low self-esteem. You start to second guess every single thing you do, because what's happening is, in order to avoid the pain of the bullying in whichever form it's coming from, whether it's your narcissistic mother or a parent of, it could be a father as well. My experience was the mother. It could be the schoolyard bully. It could be, heck, maybe you're getting bullied by teachers. Maybe there's a neighbor that's doing it. There's so many sources of these traumas. And so when you become an overachiever, it is typically to simply demonstrate you are worthy. So when we see overachieving, we often recognize this. Well, those have kind of taken the journey. As we look back over our shoulder, we go, I see the pattern now. And those patterns often develop in our childhood. And so this is the thing about burnout. When you have a lifetime pattern of trying to be more, do more, help more, say more, all of the more, just more in order to try to prove to people that you deserve your place at the table, then what inevitably seems to happen is we start to spin our wheels. Part of that is that if you've got the anxiety layer on top of it, there's all this negative self-talk happening in the back of your mind as well. Did I do it right? What did they think? Are they judging me? All of the things that happen inside in that message that we keep playing to ourselves about what we deserve in life, what we're good at in life. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was how when my second burnout was approaching me in the middle of that pandemic, or this pandemic, I should say, one of the things that started to happen to me was, as much as I fully believed that I had achieved the position that I had because I had the experience, I had the skills, I had the tools, I had the intelligence, I had the vision, the strategy, all of those things. Somewhere about a year into that role, I went, do I? I started to doubt myself. I started to doubt that I had what it took to do the job. I started to doubt that I had what it took, frankly, to be a good mother. I started to doubt that I had what it took to be a good wife. I started to doubt that I had what it took to be a good friend. I felt as though basically my world was spinning out of control around me. And as that started to happen, all of the other things that go along, the self-doubt is one thing, but when it's plaguing you and it's keeping you awake at night, when it's plaguing you and it's waking you up at 2 o'clock in the morning for 6 months, I would go to bed at 9 or 10 o'clock at night and I would be up again no later than 2 o'clock in the morning. And I would be up, and of course, what would I do? Right into working, because if I get this done, if I can do this, if I can do this. And it was just this constant push, because if I just keep pushing myself, if I just keep trying, eventually I've got to be able to solve this thing that's happening. Eventually I've got to be able to recognize that I've got what it takes. I can do this. I can push through it. But the problem is I never gave myself enough of a break or a rest to actually be able to start to look at what the specific situations were. And once Martin came to me and told me that he was starting to see certain patterns evolving in me, we had a very real conversation about the impact that this was having on our home life, on our relationship, on what he could see happening with my kids, because I was constantly away from home. Because, we needed somebody to, I'll do it, because it was so important to me that we would succeed as a team, that we would make it through this pandemic successfully and in a better place than we started, and that we would learn the lessons that this was meant to bring to us, that I simply put those blinders on, just like you do when you see horses and they've got these blinders on and they can't look this way and they can't look this way. It's just straight and narrow path that I was on. And I wasn't aware initially of how that was affecting the people around me. I was very aware of how it was affecting me. I could feel the nausea every day. I could feel the panic attacks. I could feel the pounding headache every day. And I could feel that I was exhausted all the time. I could feel that. Do you ever have those times when you realize you're having an emotional reaction to something, maybe even just snapping at somebody, and you say to yourself, oh my goodness, chill out, right? Like you can say it to yourself, but it feels like you have no control over it. These are the things that were happening, and then you would layer on the self-doubts and the feelings of overwhelm and this restless feeling. And some days it would actually be listless. I'd feel like, I just don't want to do anything. Why bother? So, it's all over the place. So those feelings that go along with burnout, they're very real. And the thing that somebody brought to my attention back then that I hadn't really focused on was, what was the physical effect that this was having on my body? And I don't know if you've ever heard of something called adrenal fatigue, but adrenal fatigue is actually a bit controversial. Some doctors say it doesn't exist, other doctors say it do. It really depends on who you talk to. But basically what it is your adrenals are one of the organs in your body that are in charge of hormones. So cortisol, corticosteroids, those kinds of things. And those are our stress hormones. And so can you imagine that you're in a constant state of constant state? That's a fight or flight instinct. And if your body is in constant fight or flight mode, it has no opportunity to relax, get those hormones out of your system so that you can return to a place of homeostasis so that everything can go back to neutral. Cortisol and corticosteroids actually suppress your immune system. So if your immune system is suppressed, it actually makes you more susceptible to illnesses, viruses, bacteria. Oh, wait, we were in the middle of a pandemic. No wonder I got COVID in March of 2020, right? So, and so many other illnesses that are around, that if you have always perceived yourself as a healthy person and suddenly you're starting to get physically ill, it might be time to start looking at how much balance have you got in your life? Are you giving your system that chance to just go, exhale, calm down, bringing down the vibration, not down the vibration, but bringing down the tension, so that you can actually achieve some peace within your physical being, because that peace within your physical being will actually allow you to think more clearly. And that's kind of what is really important in burnout. We're feeling so out of control. We feel like, I just don't know where to go. One of the phrases that I really love to use to describe it is analysis paralysis. There's all of these options, and it's confusing which one to pick because we don't trust our own thoughts anymore when we're getting into this stage. So guys, if you ladies, if you are at that stage where you are feeling an ongoing, ongoing persistent headaches, or insomnia has set in, you're not sleeping well, if you're getting irritable, cranky, or even getting angry easily over little things, if you are finding that you can't make decisions easily, it just felt like, oh my gosh, the pressure is on. Everybody wants me to make all the decisions all the time. Guys, I couldn't even figure out what we were going to have for dinner. That's how bad it got. People would go, I don't know. I don't even know what we have. And then I would get angry. Why don't you make the decision for a change? Why do I always have to be the one that makes the decision? And it was really, think about how that, like a snowball, how that snowball effect is, that it just continues to pick up and gather speed as it goes along. That's where that spiraling out of control feeling comes from, that feeling of drowning in your own experiences and feeling like, oh my gosh, somebody needs to throw me a lifesaver. That's what I'm here for. I've got the lifesaver for you. I do have the systems. I do have the processes. I understand ways to overcome things that are happening inside your brain that you may actually already have awareness of, but maybe you don't know how to implement them right now. So having somebody in your corner, like a coach who actually specializes in this, can really help you to get to the root cause, see the patterns that you can't see, and then develop strategies and processes and boundaries to actually help ensure that you can get further and further away from those physical and emotional feelings, put more and more distance between that constant state of fight or flight, calm your system down, bring back your health, bring back your mental health, and start to move forward with life and set goals again. And, it's a wonderful place to be here at the top of the mountain. But I want you to know how much I do remember what it feels like to be stuck in the pit of approaching a burnout, and what those signs are and what the true implications are on you, your loved ones, your work, your productivity, your income, your opportunity for advancement within your own within your organization, if you are employed by another entity, or even your advancement within your own business, as you think about scaling up and or increasing revenues and those kinds of things. We all want success in life, and all of these physical manifestations of stress, all they serve to do is to hold us back. So again, if you are experiencing a ton of headaches, sleep disruption, feelings of overwhelm, panic attacks are increasing, you feel a general state of anxiety all the time, this fear, this looming doom and gloom of, oh my gosh, what's happening and I don't know how to control it, that sense and feeling of spiraling out of control or drowning. If you've got the feelings of being completely restless, or on the opposite side, completely listless, if you are feeling like You just don't know which way to turn. Even making a simple decision is difficult. Sister, you are there, and I think we need to talk. So this is my offer to you. If you would like to book a complimentary 30-minute consultation with me, we can discover whether or not you and I are a good fit. Because first and foremost, I have to be honest with you, I know I'm not for everybody. I can be a little bit crazy. I am a driven individual. I'm an overachiever. And so I am looking for people who are real action takers, because I actually will offer a guarantee on my services. And that guarantee is that if you are going to do the work and implement the things that I am providing to you and teaching you, you are going to see results, and I will guarantee that you are going to have improvement. And once we understand where you are today and where we want to get you, we can actually establish what is the kind of improvement that you can expect from working with me. And it becomes a guarantee, and it's a money back guarantee. So I will also let you know, I do have space available right now. I've just opened up 3 spaces in my calendar. So if you'd like to work with me, now is the time. I will also mention, I like transparency. So I want you to know that I do charge $247 US per hour. And that is based on an expected commitment of a minimum of 4 sessions, because the fact is you're not going to solve the problems overnight. You are going to need multiple sessions. So I need somebody who is committed to making the change. I need somebody that is kind. I like to work with kind people. And so if kindness is king for you, then you and I are probably already on the same page and a good fit for one another. But that's what that 30-minute complimentary consultation is about. It's about understanding, do you jive with me? Do I jive with you? Is there an actual connection here? Do we trust one another? Because the fact is, in doing this work, you are going to need to open up. You are going to need to be vulnerable. And if you don't feel safe with me, then I am not your girl. Let me help you find somebody you do feel safe with. So that's a really important key. And I will also be vulnerable with you. And so the trust that's needed is actually quite mutual. This is not just a matter of, oh, I'm going to help you grow your sales and increase your income and do all these things for your business. No, this is about helping you get back to being you. Or how about even discovering who you are for the very first time? Welcome to Anxious Female Overachievers Avoid Burnout and Create Balance. I am Danielle Wilson, and I look forward to being in service to you as you take this journey to recover from burnout or to avoid it, hopefully, and create some balance in your life. Thank you so much for your time today. If you do want to see the live from the summit, I was one of 7 speakers who all spoke on great ways of taking your business to the next level. And that is on my personal page. Like I say, feel free to send me a friend request, because I do try to put different valuable pieces in both places just to ensure that I can support as many women as possible. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will put a link. Hi, Prue. I didn't see you there. I will put a link in the comments there so that if you do want to book that complimentary session, you can do that right away. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys.